Today, we are counting down Vix's top 5 video games.
I love horror movies. Good horror movies, bad horror movies, slashers, and everything in between. I even started getting into horror video games in the last few years. And if I've learned anything about the horror genre, it's that no matter how big the threat, no matter how scary the boogeyman, all it takes is one badass girl to ruin his day. And some of us never get tired of watching that happen. My guest today has been the last girl countless times. We met by chance years ago playing Dead by Daylight, an online multiplayer survival horror game. As we faced the endless horde of killers in the game, I realized that she would never give up no matter how bad things looked. When I'm hiding from the boogeyman, she is out there taunting him, daring him to try to catch her. She still inspires me and our teammates to face any challenge and to celebrate the big victories with the small. She has made me a better player, and she always has my back. If you have to face the darkness, there really is nothing like having the last girl by your side. All right, so what is your 5th pick then?
My 5th pick is Vampire the Masquerade.
All right.
And it's a very interesting game for its time because it's 2004.
Mm-hmm.
And the graphics are surprisingly well made. And so you decide to pick a certain rank or species of vampire. And so you all have different abilities. I always kind of went with the hubris one, where they had kind of power above everyone, or the insane one that heard voices from everyone around.
Oh.
Because I thought those were more fun.
Yeah, that's very cool. That sounds like
Yeah.
it would just be a very interesting mechanic for a game in general.
Definitely. And there were quests like any other kind of storyline game like that. But yeah, it has a good story to it. It's very interesting. I have been waiting forever for the second one to come out because they decided to make a second one. It's Bloodlines 2. And they've been pushing it back for several years. At one point it was not gonna go forward, but then some old team members decided to continue on and try to generate the next game. So I'm very excited that that will become a thing.
Oh, wow. That's great when the original team supports it, or you actually get developers that were involved in the older projects. Usually things go so much better when that happens.
Right. So that is definitely my number 5th pick. It's an oldie, but it's surprisingly good for its age. I mean, it's like them releasing a second game is like 20 years from the original game, which is impressive. It's kind of exciting.
That's super rare, especially to have the same people involved or some of the same people.
Right. Exactly.
That's a really special thing. And I haven't played this game. I've seen a little bit of footage of it before, I think.
Right.
But tell us more about it, because this is not a very mainstream pick, right? Not a lot of people have probably played this game.
No, definitely not. There are a lot of moral choices of basically generated on what kind of vampire you're playing. So just for the beginning of the story, because I don't feel like that's spoiling anything, you get bit and you turn into a vampire, and then you go in front of I guess it would be the Masquerade of vampires, and they want to execute you, and then someone decides to take you under their wing, and you go through them, and then you kind of pick your own story and whose side to go through, and there are several different endings. I am the type of person that wants the best possible ending, so I cheat all the time. I really want the best story. I just don't want to be disappointed.
Sure.
But yeah, there's there's a few parts to it too. I always say a phrase from it called like a naked baby in the woods, and it's from one of the guys in this story, because when you're not used to something, you're like a naked baby in the woods.
Totally exposed.
Don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's just a saying that I learned from that, and I was just really impressed. I mean, I love vampire games. You very much know that I do, and I know some other ones, but yeah, it's a very quest story-rich game that allows you to kind of pick how you want to behave.
So it is like purely an RPG then?
Yep.
Okay. And it's third person, right? So you get to kind of design your own character, and you actually get to see what they look like, that sort of thing?
You don't get to specifically choose what your character looks like.
Okay.
Like, you have it generated for every type of vampire.
Oh, okay.
And you can change your outfit somewhat throughout the story.
Nice.
I'm sure they're going to add more personalization in the next game. Hopefully it does actually come out, but I'm sure there is going to be a lot more personalization.
I heard more about that recently, or at least I saw some teasers for a new Bloodlines game, and I was sort of happy for you because I've heard you mention this before. And
right.
It does look like it. I mean, with modern graphics too, it could be really cool to have a game set in that world again. And this is based on Vampire the Masquerade, the tabletop role-playing game, right?
I'm not quite sure, but it probably is.
Okay, I'll double check that.
Yeah, definitely. I know there was an older version of it that I think it was 2001 too. It was a game, but it wasn't exactly the same. It was more tabletop, so it possibly could be.
Yeah, that's probably what it is then, because I had some friends in high school that were very into playing Vampire the Masquerade, the tabletop board game, before this came out. A little older, but I was playing Dungeons and Dragons, and they were really into Vampire, and sometimes we would play games together and everything. So it was fun. Very cool world setting. So it's definitely something that I would probably enjoy checking out myself.
Right.
Because I like the horror games, and I like supernatural stuff as well, and I love RPGs. So it sounds like a really great game to me. What is the combat like? Is it all live action, or like a action role playing, or is it turn based? How does it work?
It's you know this better than I do. I would say it's action based. Like, you hit your certain keys and then smack. It's not turn based.
Okay, yeah. So it's real time action then. Cool. So it's like a third person action role playing game. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
I am a fan of those.
How is it a very long game?
I'm just remembering all the story parts. It's not too long. It's not too long, especially if you're not a completionist like I am. I don't think it's too. I'm trying to think. It would probably be no more than 15 hours.
Oh, okay. Okay, so
which I think is pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty short for an RPG. That's not too hard to get into at all. I've been paying attention to it on Steam. Every now and then I'll see it in the Steam sales, so I'm gonna pick it up one of these days for sure to try it out. At least before the new one comes out, because it does look really fun. Yeah, it looks really fun.
I think so, and I think you're a vampire fan too. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. I played some of the old Castlevania games when I was growing up, and I love the Castlevania anime, all that stuff. So.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, it's enjoy that, and I like the old vampire movies as well. So I just recently started watching the Hammer horror movies with Christopher Lee. If any of our listeners have checked out that series before, those are really fun classic horror movies. Yeah.
Gotta check it out.
Yeah. Absolutely. And Well, that's an awesome first pick, Vix. Is there anything else you'd like to add about it before we move on to the next one?
No, I think that sums it up pretty good.
Okay.
General idea.
Great. Well, what's your fourth pick then?
My fourth pick. I mean, I love indie games. I love just generally unknown games, but I do have quite a few picks here that are very white girl basic. If you could.
Becky Basics? Is that what you're saying? Becky Basics?
Yes, I do like the basics sometimes. My fourth pick is Fallout 4.
Okay.
And I think that's conflicting because they have so many other good games.
Oh, you mean Bethesda?
Well, Bethesda in general as well, but Fallout 1 or Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 2, all of those. Those are all great games.
Sure.
I think it's because it's the first one I played, and I liked more of the personalization, like the modding, the ways to make my character look so fancy and attractive. I think that's why I liked it the most.
So do you play a girl or a boy when you're doing the custom characters in Fallout 4?
Oh, I'm always playing a girl.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I don't know. I just do.
No, it's cool. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I just think I have to ask because I always do the opposite, right? Like whenever I can do a custom character, I'm always picking a girl.
That's true.
Just because it's more
Girls
fun.
are great.
Yeah, well, and I don't.
I totally get it.
It's nice to be able to have like a doppelganger. I have to look at this character for like dozens of hours, so I want it to be an attractive woman, like sue me, right? Like that's.
No, I totally get that.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's an extension of my own personality, and the moral rights is Fallout specifically. Well, most of these are RPG, choice. It's always an extension of my moral rights that I get to portray in a game.
Sure.
And I think that's why I do it. But yeah, I change my character's looks all the time. I download new mods. They're always looking good.
Nice. That's cool. So the dress up part of it and the customization of the character, that's kind of why you chose 4 more so than New Vegas or some of the others?
That and the fact, I mean, I hate Preston. Absolutely hate him. They have way too many settlements. I don't know if you've played the game. There's way too many settlements. So it's specific character where he wants you to help the people in the wasteland and start up settlements. There's got to be at least 20, and I am a completionist.
Oh.
And that's another thing I download so many mods for. I want it to look perfect. I download mods to make certain materials that aren't generally in the game. A lot like Oxhorn, which is a great guy to watch if you love Fallout. He is my favorite for that reason.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I played Fallout 3 first. That was the first Fallout game I played. And
I played that.
Yeah, I got a PS3 long time ago. A few years after they came out, and that was one of the games that I got with it, and I sat down to play it, and like 5 or 6 hours went by. I could not believe how time fell away, and I had just started my career at the time. I had just finished up with school, and I was terrified of that game after that because I didn't have the time to put into it. I couldn't be just losing 6 hours, out of my day and like expect to do well with my job. And so I never turned it on again after that because I was so afraid that I would just get totally lost in that world. That's how immersive it was for me at the time. Oh,
definitely. Well, and I can totally understand that. You gotta put other things first, even though something is great.
Yeah, it was very hard to put that down. I absolutely loved it. You know, it was not something I wanted to do, but it was something I felt like I had to do because I could have just so easily gotten lost in it. Like we do with Dead by Daylight. You know, you and me, we've had plenty of days where we played Dead by Daylight for many, many hours at a time.
Yeah.
The day just goes by so quickly. I can do that now. I'm older and, you know, I've got my life sorted out somewhat, but when I was, you know, like 23, I didn't have time to be doing that. So
I get it.
Yeah, so anyway, I only tell that story just to say, like, I get it for, you know, the appeal of that franchise. It is incredible how immersive those games are and the worlds that Bethesda
definitely
builds. You know, it's awesome. I think you're the first person to pick a Bethesda game. Amazingly, that's actually I would have thought somebody would have done it before now, but that's pretty cool. I'm glad somebody finally did.
Well, I'm just such a fan of those kind of games, and I mean, I am probably one of the few people that has finished Skyrim.
Oh wow.
I'm at least like 99%, and it's only because I have to add a whole bunch of skills to certain spellcasting such, and I just can't be bothered. There were so many parts. And that was during COVID. I did that, and it was great.
Well, that sounds like a convenient excuse from my perspective, Vix, because I know you like to leave games right at the end unfinished so that you can pretend they never end, right? The ones you really like.
Yes, it is. It's very true. And I didn't really. The end of the story was anticlimactic for me. I have actually not finished Fallout 4. I did finish Vampire Masquerade. I have not finished Fallout 4. And it's because there's too many settlements and they have to be perfect and they have to look like ox horns. Like they're just like so perfect and they make my graphics go completely haywire. I have to find all of the that's my mindset when I'm playing these games.
Fallout 4 must look amazing on your new computer because you got that really nice laptop recently, right? I'll bet every game looks really good.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's been an improvement.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's one point in that game that is. I have not played every part. I know most of the story because I just ruin it for myself. I would never ruin it for anyone else. There is this part where you meet a certain person who kidnapped someone close to you, and I always do it with a fat man, which is interesting to me that they call it the fat man, because there's little boy and there's fat man, and they're both nuclear bombs that hit Japan, which I'm also a fan of Japan.
Right.
But it also looks like it, like the ammo looks like what the nuclear bomb looked like, on a much smaller scale. But I always use that, and I'm talking to the guy and as the character, and I'm just like giving it to him, and then I just go kaboom in the room every time I play that part. I just take out everything.
Wow.
So it's so rewarding. It's so rewarding. But that's an interesting part about the Fallout series, is the Fat Man, I believe it is. It is connected to the nuclear bombs, which is an interesting choice, but a choice nonetheless.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah,
and I haven't played a lot of them, but is the world the same basically for all of them, or are they like totally different interpretations of post-apocalypse?
They are different times within the story.
Okay. So different time periods, but it's all the same world then.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Different points, and the first two I think are closer to the beginning. And New Vegas. All of those three are kind of at the beginning, and then 3 and 4 are more further in.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I remember in 3 right at the beginning, it was like you were kind of figuring out how it happened, and there was some question as to, because it's DC if I remember correctly, you're in DC or near there, and you're finding like these, I want to say there were like communist bunkers or something. There were like certain, I don't know if they were technically vaults, but I just remember like going through ruins of the city and finding different Chinese paraphernalia and things that were sort of indicating, you know, that there was a communist threat, perhaps, and I don't know if that was true or not, but that was just where it was like early in the game, what I was going through.
From what I understand, it was a communism attack.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think they always give you everything, but that's from what I understand. In the 4th game, because of your military status, you get to go in the vault, and so that you're technically at the beginning of when the bombs went off, but then you're, I believe, in the furthest part. So, beginning of 4, then 1 and 2, possibly New Vegas somewhere in there, and then 3 and 4.
Okay.
I think that's...
Wow.
Yeah,
that's very cool that they cover so many different time periods. That's very cool they cover so many different
definitely
time periods.
is. And there's different vaults too, like what they were based on.
Mm-hmm.
Like cryogenic is for, and yeah, but I mean, there's a lot. There's so much background to the stories there.
Yeah.
You could spend 100 hours. I had to think.
How many do you have in your playthrough? I'm just curious.
Fallout games?
But yeah, your Fallout 4. How many hours do you have in your Fallout 4 game?
Oh, do you want to know the real number?
I'm just curious.
Okay. Well, another thing that I didn't bring up is there's a certain mod that allows you to back access points in the game that they didn't keep in the end.
Oh, okay. That's very cool.
Like they have all the voice lines and everything, which is pretty awesome if you can find it. I have 1,100.
1,100 hours? Wow.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah. Well, you got to remember, I spent extra hours just leaving my computer on, trying to build my base, and then getting tired, and then leaving the computer on.
Right, I gotcha. Well, I know we have some time like that in Dead by Daylight as well, just time.
Oh, definitely.
Just waiting for matches. It's like
yep.
A lot of time by itself. So, wow, that's awesome then. 1,100 hours in Fallout 4. Anything else you wanted to add about Fallout 4?
I think that's good. I think it's a general idea.
Okay, cool. Again, I think it's just awesome you picked a Bethesda game to finally get some representation.
Very basic.
Yeah. No, it's well, you know, it's popular for a reason. You know, it's well deserved.
Oh, it is.
They're amazing games. So, and I'm looking forward to whatever their next project is now. Are they doing? Do you know? Are they doing another Elder Scrolls next, or are they doing another Fallout?
I feel like both of them are going to be pretty intertwined. It looks like Fallout 5 is supposed to come out in 2025, which seems pretty quick. So I'm not sure. I think everyone got behind from COVID.
Right.
So.
Well, and they were also working on Starfield for so long. So,
yeah.
And I was going to ask you about that. Did you play Starfield at all? Because you could play that probably on your PC, right?
Oh yeah, probably. I haven't. I played one game that was similar to Starfield, but I never did end up playing Starfield. It kind of just lost track of time. Had too many games, too many DVD hours.
Well, and Starfield is also a big commitment, as I understand it. It's a very big game.
Right. The commitments is the thing.
Yeah. But I know that the reviews were somewhat mixed, but I don't know if I actually know anyone who's played that yet. But anyway, I'm sure someone will mention it at some point.
Definitely.
So.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's awesome. So Fallout 4, your fourth pick. What is your third pick?
Ironic, I have to say. Fallout 4.
Yeah, right.
I know. My third pick is a mix. I left them a bad review, but I still love it. It is my most toxic relationship in my life, and it is called Dead by Daylight.
There we go. And
It's
technically you're the first person to pick this. So
right? Would you pick it?
Yeah, possibly.
Oh, possibly.
I would say it's a possibility. It's certainly, in terms of hours played, it's easily my number one. It's not even close.
Right.
I have not put that much time into any other game. Like, not even close.
Right? Now that you're saying hours, I'm gonna look up my hours. Just
right. Oh,
because
if you have 1,100 in Fallout, you've got 10,000 in DBD.
I have 4,200.
Oh wow, okay, I was way off, but still, you got significantly more.
Yeah, I mean, you have to also add the time where you forget your computer was on and
Right.
you went and did things. That's common, at least for me.
Yep.
What can I say about DBD that you couldn't already say? Yeah, it was. I started because me and my friend were looking for other games, and at first I was a total meghead, complete meghead, because I was terrified of the killer. And then I just got really involved in different groups playing and met more people. I met you there, and it just was a community for me. Something to play after work. Play when you want to chat and such.
Right.
That I really got involved in it, and I still am. I haven't ever really lost interest. I'm trying to play a game on the side that's more story rich.
Right.
But I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know how else to talk about it. I feel like I'm always, quote, leveling up at certain points where I can tell that I'm doing better in the game than I used to. I recently had that moment maybe a month and a half ago where I just noticed that my running skill was better in the game.
Right.
Right. And yeah, it's just, it's such an intense game, and there's so many good players that you just continuously have the ability to evolve, and so there's no, ending for me. That's why I guess I like it. And I should also talk about the game if there are people not knowing what's going on. So
tell us
you
about
play, it. Yeah. Well, not you,
I'm
so
still learning.
No, you're not learning, I taught you perks, I taught you distortion.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
I'm a grown-up DVD player now.
You're a grown-up now? I'm a big kid now. Right? So there's a killer, and there are 4 survivors, and your job as killer is to hook. So you must hit them twice with your ability or a special ability. There's different abilities based on what killer you are. You can play, they do unique killers as well as, what would you call that?
Mainstream
killers, like, well, we just got Dracula, which I love that.
Yeah, we got
as vampire.
Castlevania Dracula just
Castlevania,
dropped.
Right?
And Trevor Belmont.
Very exciting.
As well,
right?
As a survivor, so that's pretty cool. You can play as a vampire slayer against Dracula in Dead by Daylight. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think so. Michael Myers. I know you like to play Michael Myers. That's the one that came in my mind.
Yep.
As well as, so you have to hit them twice, basically. And then they go down, and you put them on a hook, and then their teammates have to save them. And then if they don't, they go to the next level. And if they do, then they have one more level. And once they are hooked 3 times, they die.
Yep.
And the survivor's job is to finish 5 generators and heal each other if they can, and open the doors and loop the killer. That's my favorite part.
Mhm.
That's my favorite part.
Yep, you're
And,
much better at that than I am, so it's always fun to have Vix in a session with me, because there's a way better chance I'm going to survive when she's there than not.
I like to be a brat. I'm a total brat. It's fun to kind of figure out how to loop them and know their abilities, and there's so many mind games and
Right?
such, and it's just...
You get really into
Yeah.
that, and I'm really into gen teching, so repairing the gens and finding
Right?
the gens like really quickly, and doing, hiding from the killer, like that's kind of my thing. More so, I try to avoid
No,
the
I
killer.
totally get that.
You try to engage a little more, but I will say my chase game is definitely improved a bit
Oh, I
over
think
time.
so.
Just watching you play and seeing how to do it a little bit better. It's super fun too when you can run a killer for a significant amount of time, and you can tell they're just getting angrier and angrier.
Right? It's like handing in an essay for university. It's like, just the reward
Mm-hmm. Getting it done.
doing well in the game.
Right.
It's same as getting an essay done.
Yep.
And there are so many different perks, so many different ways you need to learn. And I mean, there's the greatest DVD character or guy that I honestly can't remember his name right now. Do you remember his name?
The survivor or killer?
The streamer.
Oh, the streamer. Oh, I don't really know the streamers well at all, honestly. I don't really watch the streamers much because I'm always playing the game.
That is fine. I mean, I'm sure there's someone here that is watching this that knows who I'm talking about. Oxo. I want to call him Oxalotl. I'm calling him Oxalotl right now. But he knows the game way better. He seems to know every perk, everything going on, and I'm just like, I just know what mostly happens.
Right. That's a big commitment too. For if there was a game that you were gonna get really good at, to just like dedicate your streams to, like that's the only game you play. I mean, DVD's a great one to do that with because it's sort of endless combinations, and you're not gonna get bored. But it's also extremely challenging to do that because the player base is so talented in general. Like, people don't play DVD who are not really good at DVD very much. Like, it's got a very aggressive learning curve, and most people are not willing to put in the time it takes to ride that curve out to where they start winning some matches.
No, and some people aren't, and I totally understand. That's 4,000 hours of useful time.
Right? Could have done a lot of things with.
Right? I mean, for me, it's just, again, can come home from work or have a day off, do my errands or whatever, and I can just play a game.
Right.
20 minutes. And so that's why it's so addicting. There's no investment in a backstory. I don't have to remember the backstory. I don't have to write notes about what happened if I come back to it much later, which I have done. So it's just easy to get into, and that's why. But it's also rewarding and difficult.
Well, there's so many layers to it too, right? Because like you mentioned, there's the social aspect of it. We meet people playing. I met you. This is how, for everybody listening, this is how Vix and I met, was playing Dead by Daylight. We would have never met each other otherwise. Probably we play some similar games, but most of those other games are single player games. I don't even know if you and I play any other multiplayer games that we would have even had a chance of meeting each other playing. I kind of doubt it, because I don't play a lot of multiplayer games, or at least not ones with open lobbies like this.
That's fair.
So, you meet people from all over the world playing games like this, which is pretty cool.
Definitely. An example of this is just a little interesting how well you can meet people on DBD. Is I met one friend, and I met another friend through there, and I met several, and I'm going to a wedding from a DVD player that I met.
That's right. I forgot about that. That's awesome.
It's kind of funny.
Are they gonna have a DVD themed wedding?
No, but I have been thinking of trying to make something DVD for them for their wedding.
Oh yeah, you're the artist, so yeah, you could make make something that like from the game. We'll see. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. What character do they play?
They mostly play Jane.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to think if Jane has any cool outfits or something in particular that's like Jane. I'm sure you could find something.
I can make that up. Oh, we should say also our favorite characters.
Oh yeah.
People play them too.
What's yours?
Yui, the Japanese biker girl. 'Cause I love Japan, and I don't know if that's it. She's just a little badass, a little bit rougher,
right?
A little bit more independent. I'm all about being independent.
Right. She's very, very cool character.
Yeah, and I think we have a friend that would also agree.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Moon
and Mooney.
Yeah.
She has a poster even. That's awesome.
Right. Yeah, she really likes Yui a lot. I think Yui's her favorite.
Look at it.
As well. That's kind of cool, actually. For me, it's well, now it's a lot harder of a choice, I have to say, because
I know. I'm wondering which one you're gonna choose.
The thing about DBD, for those who haven't played it, is they're constantly dropping new characters, new killers, new maps. All like the perks are changing. So this is a very active team at Behavior Software that is maintaining the game, develop the game. And that's the other thing that's kind of fun about it, because your play style over time, whether you want it to or not, it's going to change and evolve.
Yeah, exactly. Certain perks get worse.
Yep, right. You're really dependent on the time you're playing the game, how you're going to be playing it. And I used to find that very annoying, but now I just think it's fun, and it just makes the game infinitely replayable. And
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I kind of made peace with that. And but as far as characters go, we just recently got a new character, Sable, who is a witch, and kind of a dark witch too. Like, she's into like the after midnight magic, and she's besties with another witch named Michaela, who was the first witch to be in the game several years ago. And Michaela was the first new character to get in the game right when I started playing. I started playing it during COVID, and Michaela dropped like right at Halloween. Me and my friends started playing it the September before that. So by the time she came out, I was getting really into it, and I was super excited because, just to have a witch in the game at Halloween was really fun. And so I started playing as her then. Good idea. Yeah, and leveled her up a ton until Sable came out recently, and I like their dynamic. I really like both of them. I want to pick both because Michaela's like the good witch and Sable's the bad witch, and I like both of them.
I think that's a reasonable answer.
Yeah. So, it's not too bad to pick two, right, out of like 30 characters.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good. I mean,
yeah.
I think I like Marie from Silent Hill too.
Oh, yeah.
Just her outfit's so cute. Like, right. I understand needing more choices.
Well, and it's so fun because there's characters that are unique to Behavior that they developed for the game that are sort of base kit. And then there's all these other characters you can get that come from different franchises. So, you've got the Stranger Things kids, and Ash Williams from Evil Dead, the characters from Resident Evil. A bunch of the Resident Evil characters are in this game now, and killers and survivors, and it just constantly keeps expanding. Like, right when I think like there's nothing else they can do, Then they drop something like Ellen Ripley and the Xenomorph from Alien, like, and it's just totally changes it up. It's awesome. I love
Right? And it's like, take my money, take
Right?
$2,000,
Exactly.
which is a hint on probably what I've spent.
Right? Yeah, that's a fraction of what you've spent on the game, probably.
Cosmetics are a positive for me.
Right?
If I can't mod them, I'm gonna buy them.
Yep. There you go. But it's great to support games that you love. I think it's awesome that you like it so much, and you buy the cosmetics and all that to support the developers. I mean, it's great that there's players like you out there, because that's what keeps them going.
Well, I'm supporting my local Canadian.
That's right. Behavior being Canadian dev team for sure. Well, that's an awesome pick, Vix. I gotta say though, you and I could talk about DBD just non-stop.
Definitely. I
have to add, is there anything else you want to add before we move on to your next pick?
No, I think I'll shut up.
Okay. All right. So what is your second pick then?
My second pick is much darker than I guess the rest of these. It's called The Cat Lady.
Oh, okay.
And it's an interesting game, and I'm not even sure. There was at one point in my life where I really got into watching YouTubers.
Okay.
And I got into watching YouTubers, and I got into the horror. I would watch the horror. I couldn't play it, but I could watch.
Sure.
And I found this game, and I guess emotionally I found it very interesting. It's a much more intense game. It's about a woman. I can actually remember her name right now. It's Susan.
Nice.
And she decides to unalive herself. And she goes and talks to the Queen of Maggots. And the Queen of Maggots to me is, I don't know, a strong figure. There are other games. They made one previously, and then they did this, and then they made another, which was a remake of the first, and they made Lorelei, and then they've actually started another one, something Lane, which I do have. I haven't played it, but I found The Cat Lady was the most kind of original. And so she goes and talks to the Queen of Maggots, and she's like, well, would you like to live? Oh, no. So she kind of coaxes her into living again and going back to life. And in exchange, she has to get rid of maggots. And maggots are considered people who are real people that she has to, I guess, assassinate or somehow supernaturally affect their outcome because they haven't caused any good in the world.
Okay.
It's a very big moral dilemma, and because she does some of it, but then she doesn't do all of it, and she kind of loses some moral ground. But you gotta play it. I don't want to spoil everything. But,
no, it sounds like a very interesting story-based game.
Oh yeah, it was kind of one of those games that was a little bit horror, but a lot of story-rich. It wasn't as much multiple or free will. It was more like figuring out the storyline, or else you wouldn't make it to the next level.
Okay.
But it was very rich when someone might feel down themselves or is trying to understand mental illness, or not even I can't even say illness, just being down, and there's a connection.
Is it like a game that could help you feel better, or maybe get some perspective on your feelings when you're kind of depressed?
See, I think it could either be triggering or beneficial. It depends on what point you are in the game. And the Queen of Maggots to me is like the judgment of the world. The part that, you can't help people anymore.
Okay.
in your own life. You know, you just have to let them go. You know, you don't unalive them, but it's a balance system for me.
Sure.
And so I found her to be more of that. And she doesn't show herself to be that way completely in other of the games. She comes up in it again, and it becomes very interesting. And it is a very intense game with unaliving and situations and kind of almost like nightmares and kind of like hallucinogenic thought processes.
Yeah,
But
I looked at some of the video of
yeah,
the game. I mean, it's a side scroller, right? Kind of
yep,
visual novel
yep,
style,
yes,
right? The graphic design of this game is so creepy. I have to say, like
yeah.
it's very dark and just it looks like it would be a scary game to play, especially for a side scroller.
You know, and it's not too scary. It's just emotionally difficult to play at times.
Right.
There's
Vix,
no,
can you
yeah,
give me just a minute? I'll be right back.
yeah. It can be a difficult game to go through. I don't know if it's specifically horror, but it's intense.
Well, you
But
know, the way you're
if you,
describing it, it kind of reminds me of Hellblade. Have you seen that game?
you know, I haven't. I'm
Well,
sorry.
yeah, no, that's fine. It's well, just the way you describe it as far as like being, it sounds like it's more of an emotional experience. You're having
Yes, it
to
is.
really connect with the character, what they're going through, all of that, and a lot of games do that. But Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice was, I believe it was like
Right.
a Viking that you played or someone like that. It was like this warrior woman, and she was having to go through all these traumatic things
Oh, yes.
and
I know which
yeah.
game you're talking about. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but the whole premise of it was supposed to. I mean, they had warnings on it because it was apparently, they said the whole goal was to give you the experience of someone who is dealing with PTSD. Like you're gonna feel like you're that person going through it. Was sort of what I took from it. I played it a little bit many years ago. I thought it was pretty great. I didn't get too far, but it's a beautiful game. And I like this idea. I really like that you picked the cat lady because games like that I feel are really important and can serve a really good purpose for society, not just being entertaining, but also just making people more aware of things like that.
And if, I mean, you get to the end, it becomes, and you choose the good ending, which I actually didn't spoil for myself. I actually just got it. But
Okay.
it's like a release. It's like you get out of the tunnel. Not even just yourself or the character, but yourself too. You feel like you get out of, you know, the whole of the game.
Right.
I guess it felt emotional and rewarding at the end. It's a very intense series in games. I would not recommend if anyone is triggered by that. Just because, you know, I want everyone to have a good experience with the game.
Right.
That's why I always say, oh well, after a bad game at DVD. I'm trying to say, it's okay, it's a game, let's just continue on. Let's not be crappy human beings.
Right.
The best we can.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good basic bit to the cat lady and the Harvester Games. I believe that's the developer.
Yeah, it's cool you've, you know, got some lesser known studio representation there. Indie, and I think some of the best games are indie games that, you know, hardly anybody's played or heard of. I hadn't heard of this before you had mentioned it a while ago, and I looked it up and I thought it looked really cool. Very well done, like from the YouTube videos that I watched. Like, I'm definitely interested in playing it myself. And that's the other reason I love this series, because I like, you know, everybody has different picks who comes on this show, and it's very rare anyone will even mention a game somebody else has mentioned amazingly so far. You know, I think you're my fifth or sixth episode, I want to say, somewhere in there. I've kind of lost count, but to me it's amazing that so many people could have just completely different picks. And a lot of you are like lifelong gamers, so it's not like you haven't played a lot of the same games. It's
right.
You know, just your personalities, you're picking different things, and this is one of those cases where I feel like when you said the cat lady, it was like, yeah, this is gonna be a really unique pick for sure. So, and I just think that's really fun to talk about those things, because it also gives the studio a little more exposure too. Hopefully people listening to this might get interested and check it out. You know, support those lesser known devs, because they definitely need it more than the big boys.
Right. And I mean that this is the time. It's almost you know, fall and
right.
Spooky season. A little bit more intense games.
By the time this gets out, it'll probably be Halloween or close to it.
So, it's done.
Yeah. Yeah. So what a cool, unique pick there for sure. I for one definitely want to check it out. It's on my Steam wish list. So I will definitely pick it up at some point and play it. Definitely sounds like it's the sort of thing you need to be in the mood for, though, as far as mentally prepped for a pretty dark story, right?
Mentally prepped, maybe. Sometimes I think if you're already in a somber mood, it's a good pick.
Yeah, cool.
Kind of needing something to relate to you, or.
Right. Cool. Anything else you wanna add about the cat lady before we come to your number one pick?
I think that's a good representation of her.
Okay.
I say her because Susan is the character.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Cool. So
okay.
Here we finally come to it, Vix. What is your number one pick?
Drum roll. I mean, I went back and forth. I love all these games, but my number one would have to be Witcher 3.
Oh, wow.
I think it's a little bit based on my, you know, choices of men, perhaps.
Okay.
You called it once, and I was like, no, that is not possible. And even my choices of women that I looked up to as well.
Okay.
And there's some good moral judgments. I am fully engulfed in moral judgments in games. I will sit there and think, which is the right answer? Because to me, there is an answer that is better. Perhaps in my mind, there's, you know, but I really enjoyed those games, and difficult figuring out how to combat people properly. But yes, I do believe Witcher 3 is my favorite game.
Wow. That's very cool. I mean, it's obviously a very popular, well-known game. I've played it a little bit, very briefly. Again, it was one of those games that I knew could just absolutely devour my life if I played it as much as I wanted to. And it's definitely on my retirement bucket list, though.
Retirement? Oh my goodness.
The Witcher 2 and 3, for sure. And they're remaking the first one, right? They're remaking the first one, so...
From what I remember hearing, and they are making a fourth, but not focused on the main character.
Okay.
So you'll play all four when you're retired.
That's right. They'll all be out by then.
Probably 5 and 6.
Right? Yeah, hopefully that's a ways off.
Right?
But for those who don't know, who've been living under a rock for the last decade, tell us about The Witcher, Vix. What's The Witcher about?
Okay, well, The Witcher is, I do know, based on a series. I cannot remember if it's a manga comic type, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Or yes. And then they made the game. And then they made the Netflix series. And I don't fully like the Netflix series. Sorry.
Right.
Because I don't like Yennefer. Yennefer doesn't look proper.
Mm-hmm.
Yennefer looks 20 in the series, and in the video game she looks late 30s, and I feel like that's the proper age that she should be.
Sure.
I
I only say that because I don't know. I didn't get that far into the game to know the characters. I haven't seen the series, but I will take your word for it.
Yeah, Yennefer, I guess I look up to her a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
In a character way, she's the same Myers-Briggs test apparently as me.
Okay.
So, and it's rare for a female, and she's a little snarky, and she's just kind of someone I aspire.
Okay.
But enough about her. She's definitely not the main character. Geralt is the main character.
Mm-hmm.
And he is a witcher, which are mutated humans based on some trials that they need to go through. And I believe most of them get to choose it, or they are given the option.
Mm-hmm.
And so they become mutated humans that become incredibly strong. The story is set in medieval era.
Mm-hmm.
And so their job is basically to fight monsters for gold. That is their goal.
Right.
And so there are several different witchers. Geralt is the main character that you mostly play as. There's also Ciri, who is supposedly going to be the main character of the 4th Witcher game.
Okay.
Because she's in The Witcher 3, she's in her early 20s, and Geralt is, I think it is 70s. Does not look it.
Wow.
But I know they're a little bit older than they actually look.
Mm-hmm. Because of how strong they are, they just age more gracefully.
Yeah, their mutation
Mm-hmm.
or such, or just, I'm not quite sure. But so you go on many quests, and you collect gold, and there's a main point to the story, and you eventually get to that, greedy people, and you have to fight kind of the backstory of why they were that. I feel like that's every story, though.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Geralt is just kind of sexy.
Okay.
Sexy.
Right, you found Geralt very attractive, but not Henry Cavill so much in the role, or did you?
I think he is, because yes, he is. Sorry, I've lost track.
Right.
And again, it's a very moral judgment game where you have to pick a certain side. There is a leader of a certain villa place where he has to choose how to behave with his bewitched child. And it affects if he could be back with his wife. I'm not going to ever spoil any part of the game, because,
Right, want to play
but and it's a very hard decision to know what to do and what is best, and it outcomes the rest of the game. That's something very unique that I've not seen any other game personally. I'm sure there are, where if you play Witcher 2, your outcomes can affect Witcher 3.
Oh, wow.
So certain people in it might not show up if you've changed certain things.
Okay.
Which I think is really cool.
Yeah, so you use your same save file between the two? Is that how that works?
You can, or there is a choice in Witcher 3 where you choose certain answers.
Okay. Nice.
He asks you what your choices were.
I see.
A certain guard throughout the backstory. And it's pretty intense, The Witcher 2, because it splits pretty early on to two different stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'd heard
Which
about
is
that.
interesting.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's very cool. So the game is actually, like, to play the whole thing, it's kind of like the original Resident Evil games, because you would have pretty different stories depending on which
Right,
character you
right.
chose. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, so I think it's a very unique value that they've implemented. And I'm
Yeah.
not sure if they'll do it again. But yeah, it's just, I think I just follow the games that are very morally based, and I will sit there and ponder the correct answer, as well as what my character can look like. I mean, Geralt's beard grows throughout.
Mm-hmm.
You have to shave, which is kind of fun. I've not seen the game do that either, where you actually have to go to the barber to have your beard,
Oh, so
shaved.
he can't
Or
shave it himself? You have to take him to the barber?
yes,
Okay. So
I
what
think it's kind of fun. It grows over time.
do you get to pick a style or
Mm-hmm.
okay, nice. So do you typically grow his beard out or do you like to shave it more closely?
um, it's tidy.
Tidy? Yeah,
Just whatever. I feel like he normally would have a beard,
right. Well,
but
at least by the time he's 70 probably. Yeah.
yeah, right. Well, you can change his hair too. But
Okay.
again, I really like having personalization in games
Yeah.
and moral judgment that affects games. I think that's what I love.
Right. I like that
Hmm.
too. Have you ever played the Mass Effect games?
I haven't.
Because you might enjoy
Please tell me
those.
about them.
Yeah, you might enjoy those. They're science fiction games by BioWare. You know, the last one was probably I don't even remember how many years it's been. But they were really popular kind of during the Xbox 360, PS3 era. And
Hmm.
so they're like big sci-fi epics, but they involved a lot of choice, like you're talking about, moral choices, and they would affect the game and things like that. I haven't even played them myself. I've just seen reviews and people talk about them
Hmm.
before. Like but they sound kind of like your kind of game. If that's what you like, you might want to
Yeah.
check them out.
Yeah.
And I believe
Definitely
you can
yes.
do, at least with the last one, you could do a lot of character customization. I don't know about the earlier ones. But yeah, just so
Fair.
that might be your thing.
Yeah, no, I definitely think you're right.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, I've done everything in Witcher except play the last expansion because the game would be done, so I refused to finish.
And you played the card game, right? The card game in the game,
In the game, oh yeah, I was the best.
right? That's pretty
I
cool.
loved that.
I started doing that one in my playthrough, like at the first pub
Mhm.
you go to or whatever, getting into the card game, and I thought it was really fun. It reminded me of Triple Triad in Final Fantasy VIII from when I was a kid, because that was the first kind of game in a game that I played
Mhm.
as a kid. I thought it was so cool. That world had its own card game that you could play basically everywhere in the
Right.
game. It was so fun.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I have to add, I love the music in the game too. Because Gwent is the game, I know.
Hmm.
I played too much of it. But I love the music that went on during it. It just made it very lively, and
Nice.
I mean, all of the soundtrack is amazing for Witcher 3.
Well,
I listened to it.
I will definitely try to find some songs from it for the video here, and you can
Yeah,
certainly,
yeah.
you know, as always, for all of our guests, you know, if you have certain music you'd like to have featured in the show, definitely let me know, right? You can send me any
Mhm.
specific tracks you're looking for. It's my favorite part of the show, actually, is setting everything to music. I really enjoy that, promoting these indie artists.
Mhm.
I don't know for our listeners if you've noticed, but all the music on this show is indie artists doing remixes of classic game music and other copyright-free music. So I like to promote that because, you know, these people don't get a lot of free press or promotion doing other things, but they make beautiful music. And this is just, I'm using this moment as an excuse to say, hey, check out the links in the description below. If you liked any of the music in this episode or any of the others, I linked to everything that's included in these episodes, the video footage and the music. So you should be able to easily find anything that catches your eye or your ear on the show. And Vix, that goes for you too. Let me know if there's any music you'd like to have featured in the show specifically.
I can find some.
Yeah. But before we get too off topic, anything else you want to talk about with The Witcher that we might have missed?
Yeah, I think it's great. It's a great game if you like putting in a good 50 hours.
Yeah, right. Minimum,
you
probably.
Know, I mean, there are some. Well, okay, this is a little interesting. Apparently, if you date both women, I won't say their names.
Right.
They will actually get back at you in the end. Which is kind of interesting.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, they won't. Neither of them go for you, which I thought was really interesting, because people, you know, want to woo both of them, but
right. Yeah, so they end up with none.
Yes, and then Geralt gets in trouble. It's just something interesting I was looking up.
That's hilarious.
I try to find like interesting little tidbits.
That just makes me want to do that storyline more.
Oh yeah, go for it. I mean, I'm a team Yennefer.
Mm-hmm.
She's good for Geralt. She's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good basic understanding. It's a great game.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like a great favorite game to have. It's very replayable, right?
Oh yeah, you could play it again, especially the second. I think the third, you might have to brace yourself before, because the 50 hours is a long time.
Right.
Commitment. I feel like we commit more to these games than people.
Right. Yeah, definitely these days, these games are huge. But
right.
I sort of use the excuse, at least with Dead by Daylight, that it's my social time. Like, I'm talking to people while I'm playing, so, you know, whatever.
Don't tell the others I prefer to play the games and socialize with you guys.
Right. So, one other game I wanted to pass by you, just because you like the moral choice stuff. Have you played the Red Dead Redemption games?
I have.
Okay.
I definitely have.
Yeah, because those are definitely like that. You know, the moral choices really affect things.
Oh yeah, definitely. I did start off with it, and I think it was just when my computer was starting to be more difficult again. I had to find all the legendary creatures to hunt them and have all the furs, because that's how I am. But it is a good game, definitely.
Did you play the first one or the second one?
The second one.
Okay, cool. So
I know the ending.
Yeah.
And that's why I guess it's gotten to a point where I'm just kind of sad to finish. I'm not going to say anything, because that would be bad.
I will say, having actually played that game and beaten it, I know, for our audience, I know that's so rare that I actually finish anything. But
you finished it.
I actually did finish Red Dead 2.
Ooh!
And I have to say, like, this game was like the Lord of the Rings as a game, as far as endings go. Because if you've seen Return of the King, or if you've read the book, it's like the longest ending of any story ever. It's ending after ending after ending, because there's so many different characters in that story that you got to know how everything turns out for them. So it takes forever for the ending to happen. Red Dead 2 is the same way. It's like you think this thing's gonna end, and then 5 hours later you're still playing the ending of it. It's a massive game. So I have to say, like, at the end part of it too, like, at least the gunfight at the end is just incredible. the sequence going up the mountain for the fight. It's so cool. If you like westerns at all, like, you just owe it to yourself to play this game sometime.
No, that's awesome to hear. I didn't know that you were a fan.
Oh yeah, big fan of Red Dead 2, and the first one. I have to say, like, I played the first one on PS3 back in the day, and that was actually the first game I played online a lot with friends, like doing
Oh, really?
co-op. Yeah, because I had friends from work that would play that, and we.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we would all play the co-op stuff in Red Dead Redemption, the first one, and it was super fun. All of it was really great.
We should play the second. Have you played the second?
I haven't played the online stuff of the second one, like, at all. Really, yeah. But you know, that's something you want to do at some point. I would definitely, do it.
I've been wanting to do that. Terrorize a town.
Right. I need to get it again. I guess I played it on Game Pass years ago, so I don't have a
that's
copy.
totally
But
fair.
yeah, I'll see if I can pick it up at some point and we can play it for sure. It's super fun. But yeah, just another one where the choices affect everything. It's fun to play.
Right.
Are there any, I meant to ask you though before we wrap up, are there any other honorable mentions you have or other stuff?
Oh, yes.
Yeah? What would you
You
like
know
to...
I have one.
Right? There were a few I thought you might mention.
I mean, I am picking the games that I feel like left a footprint or a handprint or such.
Sure.
My honorable, wait, where is this? There it is. My honorable mention is Custom Robo, which I don't think anyone has heard about.
I have heard about it, but only because you mentioned it before.
Right.
Yeah, before we did this recording. I remember, yeah.
Right. I mean, now that I'm thinking about my childhood, I have several that I could do, but this one, I just always came back to it. I was that kid who got more friendly with my guy friends than my girlfriends when I was a kid. So we play video games all the time. I mean, like Animal Crossing, Harvest Moon, games like that, RuneScape, Pokemon.
Okay.
Played all of those. And one of them that I had to go back and buy once Blockbuster closed down was Custom Robo. And it's a very simple game. I'm sure there's just as good of games where you, I guess you could portray it as Pokemon, where you play as a character and you're going through a certain story and you use these, quote, robots in these vials to fight each other. And just general fighting. And you go through the story as you defeat them and find out more information. I think it was just a very simple game that was very repeatable for me as a kid.
Okay.
And the music. I love their music. I guess that's another thing I quite like about certain games is the music.
Sure.
It was upbeat, and yeah, I would rent it all the time at Blockbuster before they closed down, and then I bought it when I could buy it.
Nice. And this was a GameCube game, is that right?
Yes. Yeah,
Cool.
GameCube game.
Right.
So
GameCube
just
exclusive, right?
Incredibly. Yes. That I'm aware. You can use it on Wii
Right.
as well.
Sure.
Just because of the yeah.
That's awesome.
But it was kind of more of the general beginning of my gaming experience. I'm not even sure quite. No, I do. I think this is just kind of like, I guess, an example of how I became a gamer. I first, my mom said we had to get a computer. She wanted me to know how to use it. And then I played some kind of Jesus video game, which terrified me. I don't know why it did, but it did. And I played Sims, and I watched my friends play, like, Age of Empires and Animal Crossing, and all those games, and kind of learned about RuneScape, Pokemon, and all that. And I kind of learned from other people in my age group, and I really got involved in it. I really enjoyed it. I guess it was also to beat all the boys because I'm incredibly competitive and independent. That
Right.
yeah, it just always stuck with me. It was something to do for fun, and yeah.
Well, you know, you
So I
say
think that's
that, but you've never struck me as, I mean, obviously you're competitive in DBD, but you're not like
mhm.
aggressive about it. You know, you're not like really mean or anything the way a lot of players are.
No, I don't want to be that way. I think you catch more flies with honey than with vinegar.
Yeah.
And that is from Cinderella too. I saw that as a kid, but that I've always stuck with that too.
Sure.
I'm more competitive on myself to
Okay.
be better.
Yeah. No. I
And I
understand.
see other people's work and I think, oh, I need to do that too. But I would never be competitive on other people,
Hmm.
like on my team or such. It's,
Right.
it's a learning curve.
Yeah, it definitely
I think
is.
that's important to remember.
Yep. Well,
Mhm.
Custom Robo sounds like a really fun game too. I never got into Pokemon, but it definitely sounds like it would be
Oh,
really
yeah.
fun to
Hmm.
play.
It's cute.
Yeah, one of those really fun kids games, which I still play, by the way. I love I still love the Zelda and Mario games and
Right?
things like
Oh, I
Star
remember them.
Fox. Yeah, I played Harvest Moon too. I played the first Harvest Moon.
Oh!
I had that for
Okay, that
Super
was before
Nintendo.
me.
Yeah, a little bit before you, I think. But I really wish I still had it too. That cartridge is worth over $1,000 now. It's crazy.
Jeez.
I should
This is
not
why I
have.
keep them.
I should not have traded that in for my N64.
Well, you know what? At the time, you wanted that.
I did,
And so
yeah.
that's okay.
Hmm. So, but
Uh,
yeah. Anyway, that's cool. You still have Custom Robo. Do you still have any other games in your collection?
Like old games?
Yeah. Like, did you just
Oh.
keep everything that you bought before from consoles?
Sure. Maybe give me a second. My
Oh.
connection won't go good here.
Okay.
I have collected some games from that time.
Cool. If you'd like to, we can put up some photos of your collection on the video.
Oh yeah, I should. There's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I have Sapphire Pokemon, as well as some of the other older ones. I know that they've regained their purchase price.
Right.
I have several types of Animal Crossing. I have Ace Attorney Apollo Justice, which is the same as Phoenix Wright. It's a lawyer-based game that was really fun.
Nice.
Yeah, tons of. I mean, I look at them now, and I'm sure they've regained all their value. I have Silent Hill. I have Orb Sim in the City. I don't even know how much that's worth anymore. That's GameCube. The very first GameCube Harvest Moon. GameCube Busting Out, which was great. Oh, and I do have Zelda Wind Waker.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Silent Hill. And Custom Robo. I do own it. I bought it.
That's awesome.
I'm sure I have many other, but I don't know where they are.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was just thinking from
Yeah.
your list of games that you picked. I guess Custom Robo is the only one that wouldn't be PC, right?
Yeah. Yes.
But that's cool that you have it. So,
Yep, I still own it.
any other games that you wanted to mention as honorable mentions before we wrap it up?
Wrap it up. I'm sure I could give many honorable mentions, but those are the ones that stuck with me, so
Cool.
I think that's good enough. It was great to be on your show and to chat about my favorites and chat about games with you. It was great.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Vix. I'm so glad that you could share your top 5 with us, and I hope that everybody enjoyed the show again as much as I enjoy making it. I'm sorry for the window of time between releases lately. This is a one-man production other than the interviews, so I'd like to say that this is the only thing I'm working on, but sadly that's not the case. I have a lot of other time commitments, so these will get out as soon as they can. But thank you everyone for listening, and have a great day, Vix.
You too. Take care, everyone.
I have something special for you today, my dedicated listeners. If you like the show, I know you enjoy video games and music just as much as I do. Welcome to the first featured artist of My Top 5. Going forward, each episode will end with a song from the show I feel captures its spirit. Because all of the artists on My Top 5 deserve to be heard, I encourage you to follow the links in the description below and find your top 5 songs from the show. Please let me know what your favorites are in the comments below. As I was searching for this episode's soundtrack, I came across a brilliant artist, the lovely Katja Savia from Finland. Her voice and music videos instantly captivated me. Katja performs music from movies and video games, as well as original compositions on her YouTube channel linked below. I would like to thank Katja and all of the contributing artists and creators who make this show possible. Now, please enjoy her haunting cover of Isolated from Vampire the Masquerade, Bloodlines.
Trapped inside. Seems I'm damned to live a lie. Unaware of what's outside. Should I care for what's left me behind? And I stare at light that makes me blind. Internally, there's nothing left for me to be. I'm here alone and isolated. Have no choice but be isolated. Struggling, left alone, apart. Pushed aside, made segregated. Struggling, left alone, apart. Have no choice but be isolated. Threatened, forced to extract the heart. Pushed aside, made segregated. Have no choice but be. The monsters make me hide. Perhaps I'll eat myself alive. Internally, what is there left for me to be? Can't care for what's left me behind, and I stare at light that makes me blind. These broken walls trap me inside and isolated. Have no choice but be isolated. Struggling, left alone, apart. Pushed aside, made segregated. Struggling, left alone, apart. Have no choice but be isolated. Struggling, left alone, apart. Pushed aside, made segregated. Have no choice but be.